Good morning, everyone. This is a fantastic day and such an honor to welcome all of you here to this great event, sponsored by Revolution NJ, New Jersey's official initiative to mark the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution and the founding of our nation. And now, to get us started, it is my honor to introduce our great Lieutenant Governor, Tahisha Way, to get us started.
Thanks, Sarah, and good morning, good morning, good morning. It is indeed a phenomenal day, Constitution Day. I know it's cloudy, so we're going to try to make sure that all of our history is put forth, but we are going to ensure that no rain comes because this is so exciting. That's right, Ken Burns, all hell here. To begin, I want to first thank the Newark Public Library for hosting us, yes, in this historic location. And of course, we could not be here without the gracious host, Dr. Rosemary Stanbaum, to my left. Dr. Stanbaum has been a member of the Newark Public Library Board of Trustees for 10 years, and she currently serves as the vice president of the board. She is a retired educator where she started out as a high school teacher. After obtaining her doctorate from Columbia University's Teacher College, Dr. Steinbaum worked for 15 years in teacher preparation and, of course, teacher development. So can we give a friendly welcome to our host, Dr. Steinbaum, to say some kind words and a welcome.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I'd like to thank our council people for joining us here this morning, Councilman Council and Councilwoman Roundtree, great friends of the library. And I'd like to welcome everybody to the great city of Newark and to the Newark Public Library. This library has 6 locations in Newark. I like to say that we're the only anchor institution throughout the city. You can ride a bike, you can ride a scooter, and you can be at the Newark Public Library. When I will meet with the students later, I will ask them 2 questions. I will ask them, why study American history? And why go to a library to study American history? To answer the first question, I learned a little recent history and took a cue from Ken Burns in his commencement address last year at Brandeis University. The power of American history, Burns instructed, is to enable us to better understand ourselves and the world we find ourselves in now, today. I will tell the students, if you see a problem or a riddle, something you don't understand, or an injustice, there is always a way of turning it over to uncover the history within it that makes it so. And why come to the library? Well, librarians are experts at finding out answers to questions. If you come to the library with a question, historical, personal, vague, or precise, if you bring a librarian a question, I will tell the students you will have found a friend. You will have found a place to get your questions answered, to find out more about who you are, about who we all are, about who we Americans are, as we weave together our long and complicated narrative, as Ken Burns would tell us. The Newark Public Library is proud to partner with the New Jersey State Department of Education to be there to answer kids' hard questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Steinbein, for that history. Now, in just a few minutes, we will turn this over to Ken Burns to discuss his documentary, The American Revolution, and the pivotal role that New Jersey played in founding of our country. But first, I would have to ask for some grace so that I can just give you an overview of what the great state of New Jersey is doing in recognition of the semi-quincentennial. Now, let me tell you, We have been working on this for so many years. I do remember, and this is a historical fact, y'all, my first briefing nearly 8 years ago with our great historical commission director, Sarah Curitan, let's show her some love, focused on this very event. In 2018, legislation established Rev NJ, New Jersey's official commemoration of the 250th founding of the United States of America. And it is a partnership between my department's Historical Commission and the nonprofit Crossroads of the American Revolution Association. And this isn't just a one-year recognition, my friends. We'll be honoring this history through 2033. Rev. J will advance the role that history plays in public discourse, community engagement, education, tourism, and scholarship in New Jersey. Rev. J will galvanize diverse audiences statewide into embracing the enduring value and relevance of history. As you will see in Ken Burns' documentary, New Jersey was and is the crossroads of the American Revolution. Our state saw over 600 battles, skirmishes, and acts of war, including the crucial days of Washington Crossing, Trenton and Princeton, the Battle of Monmouth, the hottest and longest battle of the war. I don't know if there was any rain there, Ken can tell us. And Morristown, the site of the 1780 encampment during the coldest winter of the war. Now, we are investing in over a dozen of these sites, making capital improvements to get them visitor ready for anticipated increased visitation. And there are so many different programs because the goal is to connect with all New Jerseyans. But one could argue that our most important audience is our students. And this is why we're here at the library engaging with our youth. And now I am pleased to invite my dear colleague, the Commissioner for the New Jersey Department of Education, Kevin Dehmer, to share some words. Thank you, Kevin. All right.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. They say we bring the rain, and here it is. This year marks a significant moment in our nation's history as we prepare to commemorate the 250th anniversary of America's founding. In New Jersey, schools are honoring this milestone through focus on local history, community engagement, and student exploration of our past. Today, we're highlighting some of these efforts and recognizing the educators and students who are making this a true learning experience. New Jersey holds a special place in our nation's founding. When we talk about the American Revolution, we often think of what happened in Boston or Philadelphia. But right here in New Jersey, in our towns, our fields, and our rivers, we were, in a phrase you're going to hear a lot today, the crossroads of the American Revolution. And teenagers were a part of that struggle. Young people in New Jersey didn't just watch history happen, they helped make it. They served as messengers, others as militia members. They stood guard, they carried supplies, and in some cases, they even joined the fight. They believed in a cause bigger than themselves, freedom, justice, and the right to shape their own future. And that same spirit lives on in New Jersey's youth today. So how do we capture this story and make sure that this rich history comes alive and is relevant to our students directly in our classrooms? That's the goal of our Revolutionary Schools Initiative, where over the next 3 years, schools will find creative ways to approach this shared history through learning opportunities that will celebrate and elevate how we teach social studies in New Jersey. This initiative recognizes that understanding our complex history of democracy, from the revolutionary ideals that sparked independence to the constitutional principles that guide us, wasn't something that we inherited fully formed. It's something we build generation by generation. And just as young people helped shape New Jersey's role in the birth of our nation, they are now shaping its future. That's why our partnership with Revolution NJ to tell the full, diverse, and inclusive story of Americans' founding is so crucial. Through the History Happened Here program, I've already seen firsthand the excitement of students sharing their own research that identified key landmarks right in their backyard that they pass by every day without even realizing that they played an important role in our nation's history. While Revolutionary Schools is anchored in the 250th anniversary commemoration, our vision extends well beyond 2026. This work is designed to be integrated into New Jersey's educational landscape in a lasting and practical way. Now, before we move forward, I want to express deep gratitude to everyone that has made this initiative possible. Governor Murphy has obviously been championing this effort from its very inception, recognizing that education is fundamental to preserving and advancing our democratic values. We're grateful to the Lieutenant Governor and the New Jersey Historical Commission for their ongoing partnership. And finally, I'd like to extend a special thanks to Mr. Ken Burns, who has provided our students and educators with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to connect with their history and learn about the importance of historical storytelling. Together, we're making New Jersey schools revolutionary places where history comes alive and where the next generation of leaders is prepared to meet the challenges and opportunities of their time. I'll turn it back to our Lieutenant Governor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dehmer, for those exceptional words as to what your department is doing. And everyone, please go to revnj.gov to just get an idea of the fantastic work, witness everything that's going on with history is happening here throughout our schools. So, next up, it is truly my great honor to welcome our esteemed guest and new friend, Mr. Ken Burns, to share more about his documentary and the educational opportunities for students that will result through his work. This history is happening too right here through his work. He's been making documentary films for almost 50 years. Since the Academy Award nominated Brooklyn Bridge in 1981, Ken has gone on to direct and produce some of the most acclaimed historical documentaries ever made. His latest film, The American Revolution, will present the story of all men and women of the revolutionary generation, their humanity and victory and defeat, and the crisis that they lived through. Emmy winner, Grammy Award winner, Television Hall of Fame inductee, walking encyclopedia, and all these good things. Please, everyone, let's give a thunderous round of applause and welcome to, thunderous round of applause. That's right, Ken. We're bringing it all to Ken Burns. Thank you.
You know, one of the great unknowns of the revolution was the size of the continent and the weather that was completely unpredictable. So we're fitting right in today. I want to thank the state of New Jersey, the governor, the lieutenant governor for their hospitality, not just today, but the state of New Jersey alone among the states has been the most cooperative for us as we were filming at many different sites. As the lieutenant governor suggests, New Jersey is at the crossroads of the story of the American Revolution, but too often gets skipped in our superficial versions of the war. We start in Boston and Lexington and Concord, and we maybe remember Trenton, but jump to Yorktown, and that's it. And what goes on in Philadelphia with the Declaration and later the Constitution is more centered. But our film is called The American Revolution, and as such we have to take into the fact, as the lieutenant governor said, that this state is a hotbed of revolutionary activity. It's a place where George Washington spent 2 winters, including the coldest recorded winter in the 18th century that we know in Morristown. It is the stories, as the commissioner suggested, of young people. Our image of the fighter of the revolution is the militiaman who owns a farm and goes to the defense of his country. The people who end up winning this war, who fight in the Continental Army, are teenagers. and they are second and third sons without a chance of an inheritance. They're recent immigrants, and they do the fighting and the dying to secure the liberties of our democracy. Democracy was not the intention of the founders. It's a consequence of a revolution that was fought by regular people from here in the state of New Jersey. And while we'll be sharing nearly an hour's worth of clips from our 12-hour film at NJPAC a little bit later on, we won't do any justice to all of the scenes in which New Jersey figures in our film. I'd certainly like to thank Revolution NJ and the Newark Public Library for their incredible welcome to us this morning and housing these groups of kids who are the leaders of right now, who are going to take over the mantle and make true the promises. We are a nation in the process of becoming. There's lots of work to continue to do. Benjamin Rush, the only physician who signed the Declaration of Independence, said that the American war is over, but the American Revolution is still going on. And we are obligated to continue pushing the ideas until we live out, as Dr. King said, the true meaning of our creed. And so we're very, very happy to be here today to celebrate. I do want to shout out to my own network, PBS, and their educational wing, Learning Media. We don't make any of the films we've made over the last nearly 50 years except on PBS. They permit us the time, the space. They insist that we do a deep dive in scholarship. And the we is not me. It's my co-director, Sarah Botstein, and David Schmidt, who are here, our scholar, Christopher Brown, who's one of many scholars that we tap to help us understand the complexity of the American Revolution, not just the top-down version of things, but a bottom-up version that includes everyone. At the time of the Revolution, 99.9% of human beings did not have their portrait painted. That does not mean they do not exist. And we have spent most of the last decade trying to understand who they are, from letters, from a signature on a gravestone, on a casualty list, on some other form, because it was only the very well-to-do that got their pictures painted, and that does not mean that other people didn't participate in this struggle. So as Christopher Brown says in the introduction of our film, this is a remarkably wide variety of people who make up the story of the American Revolution, and we've tended to tell it only from a very narrow sense of the top-down founders. They are hugely important. The things that they're thinking, the things that they're doing, the things they're signing in Philadelphia are the most important human advancements in our world history, but they're not the only story. And so our story has tried to tell everybody's story in this, and to include everyone as we must, because all of those people were part of the story of the success of the American Revolution. So we're very thrilled to be here today. We're looking forward to our day in New Jersey. And I think for the purposes, although the rain has held off, Joe, I'm happy to answer questions now if people have them from the press.
Sorry, Kim, we're also going to invite Sarah Curitan.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah. Yes, we are so grateful for all your work. I didn't know you were on the...
Commissioner Dehmer to come forward too, just in case. And Dr. Steinbaum. I think that should be fine.
Did we answer all your questions?
I think so.
So that's a good thing. I buried the lead, didn't I? On November 16th at 8 o'clock, check local listings, PBS will begin broadcasting and streaming our 6-part 12-hour series on the American Revolution. It'll extend all that week. Each episode will be broadcast twice, once at 8 o'clock and then again at 10 o'clock each successive night. DVDs and Blu-rays, if anyone knows what that is, are also available. There's a very handsome companion book. And we have been working for years with educators and teachers and curriculum designers to have the most robust educational outreach PBS has yet attempted in its history. And we're very thrilled to be working with them, not just over the last year, but for several years, to engage with students across the country at all age groups and to be able to share the blessings of this. The opportunity of the 250th anniversary is to understand our origin story and to share the blessings of what was created back then. Our obligation is to understand what took place and then to pass it on to our own posterity. And that is right before us with our children and our educational system. And so we're very grateful to all these great folks who run libraries and oversee education and who oversee the state of New Jersey to help us tell the story, not just of New Jersey, but of all the 13 colonies, and indeed the world war, the global struggle that the American Revolution is. We often don't think of it as that, but it involved more than 24 nations, European as well as Native American, and that story is as interesting as any part of the rest of the story we've told. So, unless there are, oh yes, sir. Yes, yeah.
Hi, Jelani Gibson from NJ.com. Nice to meet you all. So obviously, in the wake of a lot of a high-profile event with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, it's caused a lot of hard conversations on how you have civic discourse, and a lot of that is seems to be a lot of the civic discourse on a lot of college campuses and a lot of controversy in education seems to be around how to discuss the American Revolution, how to discuss America's founding, how to discuss how these things are referenced. So what exactly does civic discourse look like in this moment and in this time for those particular things?
I think you're seeing it. I think the idea that Americans were not divided is just a sort of fantasy. Americans have been divided since the beginning, and sometimes that has unfortunately broken out into violence. But our focus right now is to tell the story of the American Revolution. The novelist Richard Powers said, the best arguments in the world, and that's all we do is argue, the best arguments in the world won't change a single person's point of view. The only thing that can do that is a good story. And we're in the trying to tell a good story business, and we think that that good story, calling balls and strikes about the revolution, permits access to every single person in this country who's at all interested in this story, and we don't need to sort of speak to whatever the divisions are because they're inherent in the story we're telling, and we provided access to everybody. There's a door every single person in this country can walk through and access the American Revolution, and that's why we've spent, one of the reasons we spent 10 years getting it right was to permit access for everybody to this complex and at times violent and disturbing story, and at the same time retain that which is inspirational and will be inspirational for as long as human beings are around.
May I also chime in?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you, Kim, for that. On the government side, Jelani, that's an important question. As you see, our Rev NJ logo is engage the past, shape the future. And it is so apropos that we're doing this right now as a people, because as Ken Burns had noted, it is a self-reflection upon our history, the principles of equity, justice, self-determination, and virtue. And even today, throughout this programming, we're engaging our youth, engaging them to discuss, opine, and try to perfect that better union, with the understanding that it is up to them today, moving into the future, in hopes that we can all come together, even understanding, and this is why I credit Sarah Curitan, my director of Historical Commission, because when she came to me, it was the beginning of my tenure in 2018 as Secretary of State, and I said this in my remarks, and she said, oh, we got to get going on this semi-quincentennial. And I said, but Sarah, this thing is in 2026. It's only 2018. But she said, no, Secretary, with all due respect, this is one of the most momentous moments in our nation's history, and we are going to tell the entirety of it. The good, the bad, those who are unknown. That's why through our Rev NJ programming, we'll have a traveling exhibit showcasing those who may not be so well known. I know African Americans such as Crispus Attucks, we've all heard of him, but there are many others. That is why we have, through our great Department of Education commissioner, he's taken the lead, Kevin Dehmer, on History Happened Here, making sure that our students not only sit in a classroom, but they are now going to be able to research various topics, hot topics within their communities, which tie into the American Revolution, in hopes of being those thought leaders to affect change. So I'm happy that we have Ken here and Dr. Steinbaum with her library and all of the richness and history and thought that has been going on here historically and bringing us all together. I even spoke to Ken earlier that I was going to try to summon up something to reincarnate the battlefield, and that's why it's raining on us, okay? Because it's important to show the perseverance of the people and trying to, I know I had my umbrella, y'all, but I just didn't want it all just looking whatever. But it's the perseverance of the people to create a healthy democracy. And that's what we are going to do. I'm going to remain confident, hopeful, inspirational that this is the moment in time for our civil discourse with our kids. I said this in the classrooms. I'm a mom of 4 girls. I'm standing, I'm breathing. They're different, but guess what? At the end of the day, as a people, they come together. So thank you for your question. And revnj.org for all the good info. I don't know if there's any more. One more? I don't know who's going to.
And that's the last one.
Last question, because we have to keep the train moving in the battle. What?
I had to take the mic from Jelani for a minute. That's my NJ.com partner here in the city of Newark.
I hear that.
But Lieutenant Governor Ken, we definitely thank you in your framework of talking about engaging the past and shaping the future. So many times when people look at this city of Newark, New Jersey, being the largest city in the state of New Jersey, forget the impact that it also had when we talk about the American Revolutionary War, November 23rd, 1776. George Washington, his encampment, came and set up an encampment right across the street at a place that is known now as Military Park. And we just want to talk about the richness and greatness of that and how all of that correlates into the work that is being done to identify Revolution New Jersey, right? The impact of the movement of the revolution and how New Jersey played a great part in it, and hope that in a fundamental way that information can be espoused.
And I thank you, Councilman, for bringing that up, because part of our programming is the Rev and J communities. We already have about, what, Sarah, 160 on the ground municipalities, and the hope is that we can get all of our municipalities involved, bringing the different perspectives, so even in a state we can come together. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And thank you all for attending today. Sure.